All right, good Tuesday morning, everyone. It's time to talk about the markets with Jim Cramer on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And Jim, we were down about 1% earlier this morning. Markets coming back.
I understand, and I have a piece coming up in Real Money. The contagion wrap is one that's very hard to put to bed because you can't say it's over and then you wake up the next day and rates are up again and you're discredited. What I will say is if you have to look at history, if you look at the period from November 9 to November 15, 2011, we had a tremendous spike up in Italian bonds in their yield, 7.48, and everything worked out in the end. And maybe the everything worked out in the end is the correct takeaway. If you bought first, if you were initially a buyer of, say, J.P. Morgan, the stock bounced and then came back down, so there was no hurry. So what I'm saying is no hurry, telling actual alerts people this, but be aware that that was the last great buying opportunity for the stock of J.P. Morgan. Last great.
And Jim, you go to Italy a lot. I
do induce a fair amount of banking, and what you need to know is there's no mortgage market. You can't get a mortgage. So the idea that we sit here and we think that the Italian economy is fine, this Italian economy, I'm not saying we want to trains on time Mussolini government, but I am saying that you should understand the frustration of the Italian people, particularly in northern Italy, where you would like to be able to get a loan, and you can't. Loans just really aren't available for the average person. And that's something that has to change. And the Italian government needs a shakeup. That's how you have 11% unemployment at a time when the world's growing.
Back here in the U.S., last week you said the 10-year yield might hit 2.75.
Yeah, people were laughing at me because it was at 3.1. And, the last spike in rates was related to oil, 73. I think oil can go to 63, if only just because when you have a June 22nd meeting with OPEC, it will be foreordained that Saudis have decided to pump more. Remember, Russia not in OPEC. The Saudis have the ability to produce 1 million barrels per day, and the Russians 1 million barrels per day to erase the deficit. Right now, we're at 1.5 million that we need pumped in order to get oil back to 50. So be aware that if they both decide to pump a million a day, we'll go back to 50. If they both decide to pump 750 a day, we'll probably go to 60. So those are my levels.
And in Real Money this morning, you covered dozens of stocks that tend to do well in a declining rate environment. Yeah, Medtronic, Baxter.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. And the reason I do that is because we mistakenly think that when rates go down, there are more losers than winners. When rates go up, there were only a handful of winners, mostly J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, PNC. But when the rates go down, there's 96% of the S&P benefits. So pick your stocks and buy into the weakness. Nothing aggressive. We're not telling action alerts people to do anything aggressive because if we're gripped with a mania which says that rates going down is bad, and I think that rates could head to 2.8, 2.75, then we're going to have a couple of bad days, and then you can do some buying.
Also, you talk about cybersecurity stocks like Proofpoint. That's up 37% this year.
Micron's up. You've got cybersecurity stocks. You should go read the article. I have a lot of stocks that I think are going to win in this environment. You can find one in that article and buy it. And remember, there are a lot of ads about the notion of single stock risk and how bad it is. And you're looking at someone who would never have been able to do a lot of things in his life if I cared about single stock risk. And I'm not saying that you can go be a professional trader if you're watching. I am saying that single stock risk is an idea that has come up that doesn't jive with the empirical facts. So look at the article, pick a couple of stocks you like and buy them.
Let's talk about Ford catching an upgrade from Jefferies this morning. Do you agree with the call?
I spent a lot of time on Ford. And Ford is very good autonomous driving. Ford has a bunch of markets that are not good that it could get out of. This is no longer the old Ford where they want to be in every single state and every single country. And that bodes well for Ford going to 14.
Yeah, it's trading at 6 times next year's earnings. Do you like Ford over GM?
Yes, I do. Micron, Ford, and GM are 2 out of 3 are good. Ford's good, and Micron's superb. We're talking about with the club about how to get into Micron, but we don't chase.
Jim, who do you have coming up on Mad Money tonight?
There's an article in the New York Times about where's the waste going. Covanta does most of the waste. So we want to see how they're doing with the Chinese boycott. And then Salesforce reports, and Salesforce is obviously a defining stock. It's part of our Cloud King group that I focus on so closely. And you can Google Cloud King and you'll see all of our stocks.
Yeah, we'll watch you and Mark Benioff tonight, 6
you.
p.m. Eastern on CNBC. Jim, before we go, how was the gardening this weekend?
Well, it's very good. You know, one of the big changes that's happened is that my local gardener, who is 10 minutes from me, has gone into Bonnie Bell. And Bonnie Bell is that's owned by Scott's Miracle-Gro, and I mentioned that because Lowe's, Home Depot, and now my guy, or Bonnie Bell. Bonnie Bell takes them back on consignment, so that's why everybody wants to use them. But there was no need to go to Home Depot because if Home Depot's got the same ones as Bonnie Bell, my local guy, and they're both price competitive. Wow, I mean Home Depot loses its edge versus your local guy. So I love Home Depot, but there was no need to go. I promised my wife, I said, listen, we got to go to Home Depot for some supplies related to a cage that I have to build in order to be able to keep the birds away from my raspberries. But it really is rather amazing. I cannot believe that Bonnie Bell's everywhere. Scott's Miracle-Gro making a real push.
All right. We'll keep watching your Twitter for pictures of your garden.
Absolutely.
All right. Jim and I are going to continue talking about stocks. Please join us on actionalertsplus.com.